We are live on Restream. This is the queen of Restream, Fran Lewis, and I have one of my favorite authors here, Charles Salzberg. And wait till you hear what this book is about. And I'm just checking to see it's taping. Yay! I didn't screw up. Since he was a child, Josh had trouble visions that allowing him to see other people's past due to his extrasensory perception. Frightened by his ability, he told no one about it except Tony, his best friend. When Tony's college-age stepdaughter vanishes, he asks him to find him and waits till you read the rest. This is right out of a Jane Ann Krantz novel, because she's
Really?
paranormal. Yeah, well, she does have those visions, for real.
Hmm.
So I began to see things too. This is great. So the title of the book is The Beginning of Everything, and for some reason Amazon sent me three copies.
Good,
So
good for
I
you.
have a, that's okay because my pharmacist wants one. Okay, so when you created the first chapter in the book, it sort of sets the tone for everything. It says those damn chickens always seem to fly their way home, but that's not the one I wanted. It was Daniel, and he's realizes something and he says to Tom because you know something's wrong. So when you created the first chapter, Daniel Wolf's, you hope you would surmise. Why did you create the first chapter like that with Daniel? I love Daniel, by the way.
uh, well, I've never written. When people point out,
Yeah.
"Oh, this has got a paranormal aspect to it," I never thought of it that way. The reason I decided to write this book is years ago, when I was writing just nonfiction, when I was a magazine journalist and a nonfiction book author. I was approached by an agent who represented a woman who had this ability. And not only did she have the ability, but she worked with the police to solve crimes. And I, I was fascinated by this, and I interviewed her for a possible book. And that's where I got the idea of someday using that power or that ability as part of a novel.
Yeah, well, she writes like that, and which is really great. And her characters actually do see things, and they solve murders.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
and
this woman,
which is an interesting aspect too. That's why Josh was really an interesting character. You could do a lot more with him. So Josh and Tony are best friends, and Tony's worried because his stepdaughter disappeared. What does he think happened to her and why? And then when you read the book, you're going to be like, what?
well, of course, the first thing any parent would think of is foul play. That someone kidnapped her, or that she was involved in something that got her into trouble. So I'm
Mm,
sure that's what he thinks, is that she didn't go missing um, of her own volition. Something happened to her. And the problem is that she's college age, and the police wouldn't get involved that early in the case
mm.
because she's a college age kid. She's 18, 19. She can do anything she wants. And there's no sign of any kind of crime having been committed. So that's why he does go to his best friend, Josh, for help, because he realizes he's got to move quickly to try to find his stepdaughter.
Now, this is really gets even more interesting. And wait till people find out the truth about something at the end. That was so cool. Let me tell you.
Right. I don't want
Now,
to give too much away because you're right. That's the you know
yeah,
the whole novel is based on why what happened to her and why she's
yeah, I
missing.
know. And when they find out why and what happened at the end, they're gonna go like, "Are you kidding me?" I can see why she did it,
Hmm.
sort of.
Absolutely.
But then, and at the end when she says, "Whoa," so explain more about Allie and why they don't think. Wait, he brings in his wife Rachel, right? And how does she react to it? Because Tony and Rachel aren't really together,
No, they're together. They've
sort
been
of. But
together for a while, and
yeah,
he raised the girl from the time she was an infant. So he really is like her real father. and they have a son together. But the mother is obviously quite upset. The thing about the girl is that she's very rebellious. So it's very possible that she just took off, to be with a boyfriend, to whatever. All that is possible because she's not a kid who hasn't been in trouble. She's also run away before. So he's very much afraid if they go to the cops are going to find out about that and
Yeah,
realize, oh, this kid has a history of running away. So we're not going to waste our time looking for her yet.
they knows. Now, they don't think she left town on her own. They're speculating. They
Mhm.
really don't know. So
Right,
we
but you're
have,
absolutely right.
yeah,
They think foul play.
they have no idea, and she hasn't been on social media or anything, so they really can't find her. Because most kids have, but then there's such a thing as the dark web too. And I
Mhm.
don't think she's smart. Well, you don't know with her. So, how did you create the chapter with Tony and Josh? Josh wanted to work alone. He didn't want him to help at all. So, how does he tell him, this is my way? And this is so cool. Explain Josh and his visions. There are people, I took a class in this, in paranormal, whatever, for one of my classes in undergraduate. I don't know why the professor thought I was smart enough to do it. And I learned that sometimes you do see things that you just don't know that exist, and you sort of can predict things. So, how did Josh decide to work alone, and how does his vision? How do his visions work?
Well, what's unique about him, and this is really why I wanted to deal with the subject, is um, he's frightened by this ability. He's had it since
Mm,
he's a kid. He's ashamed of it rather than embracing it, which is why he
yeah.
doesn't tell anyone. It makes him feel like he's different from everyone else. And so he, he every time he starts to get any of these visions, he does his best to suppress them as opposed to embracing them. And that's the big difference. It's first of all why he's never told anyone he
Hmm.
has the ability, but it's also the reason why he he doesn't quite know how to use it. It's not like he can summon up this power whenever he wants. It comes to him when he least expects it. And so, as opposed to this woman that I interviewed years ago, her name is Pam
Mm.
Coronado, by the way. Um, Pam learned how to use this and how to control this ability. He has no idea how to use it or how to control it. So this is new for him, and the only reason he's doing it at all is to help his best friend. But the other thing is that he's a journalist. So as a journalist, he's
Mm.
used to investigating things. So he uses that ability, that learned ability, to interview people, to follow people, to get information. At the same time, he's using these visions when they come.
It's so cool. It's so cool to know what people are thinking before they're thinking it too.
Yes.
And like sometimes you look at somebody and they stare at you and they go like, "Oh God, I know." And then the worst thing is when they judge you by your appearance and they think they know who you are.
Right.
Trust me,
But
I know that for a fact. That's horrible.
yeah. But the other thing is that
Yeah.
it's interesting you mentioned that he cannot see into the future.
No, I know.
He can't go to the racetrack and pick a winner.
Too
There's
bad.
a lot of stuff that yeah, too bad is right. But he's afraid that the minute he brands himself as someone with this ability, that all these misconceptions about people who do have psychic powers, if there is such a thing, they have all these misinformation. Oh, you can read my mind. He can't read minds. As
Yeah,
I said,
he
he can't
can.
tell the future. So that's another reason why he's kept quiet about it. Is he doesn't want to stand out and be a figure of you know scorn or a figure of mystery that way. And that's why it's such a big step for him to try to help his best friend.
Did he have lucid dreams also?
He's awake when these visions come,
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, they can. in my conception of what this is like, they can come as dreams. But as you know, with dreams, Fran, unless they're incredibly vivid, most of us can't remember
Yeah.
dreams after they happen. So this is something he does remember, and so it's possible he's had these visions during a dream state, but he's not sure. And even if they did happen, he's not sure that he would ever remember them if they did.
Now let's meet Allison. Allison knows that Tony is her stepdad. That's a good
Yes.
stepdad. And but yet she sees something. How does it spark? What sparks her to go look after Daniel? How does she
Well,
realize that there's a real father there? That really
right,
got
well,
me to like, hmm,
right, but I don't want to give too much away because that's a really important thing. I will say that she's been told that her birth father died
yeah,
in an accident.
right, yeah,
But what plays into this are those ancestry sites, like 23andMe or Ancestry.com. That has a big part in this novel is that she finds out some information by signing up for one of these websites.
mm,
And that's, I can't give you what that information is because
no,
it
we
would
don't tell
spoil.
anybody. Yeah,
That's right. But that's what plays into this novel is her finding out something about her and her family by going to by signing up on one of these sites like 23andMe.
well, I can tell you now, your review is on my just reviews. What really is frightening is the minute and then I'm going to post this on Restream, my website. The minute I post a review like goes on my on my just reviews, everybody reads it.
Mhm.
It's scary. Yeah, I get and if I post it, which I will later on LinkedIn, the minute I post a stream on LinkedIn, I get 200 views in 5 minutes.
Wow.
I don't know why they think I'm wonderful. I know Lincoln tests me every single day. You got this to this to that. My sister died on July 8th. Her husband pulled her life support. I was there. It was considered, and I cried the whole time. So I put something on there on July 8th, never to forget what he did, because she wasn't gone. He wanted her gone, and he
Hmm.
pulled her life support. And everybody read it. Hundreds of people said, "Good for you." Then she was buried on the 12th, and I wrote something there. Then I wrote a special memorial this week to her because I felt I owed her something. I called every hospital in the world, in every state in the world, every country in the world that had a heart thing, and they all said, all you have to do is say yes, and he wouldn't let me do it. 10 minutes after she died, Germany, Israel, and England called and said, there are 3 planes on the way to New America. We're here to take you to a real country to save your sister's life. I could
Wow.
not believe it. Yeah, they did. Because one of the authors in Israel is very powerful, so she told me who to call. I cried. I didn't know what to say. I sent a donation to each of the 3 hospitals just to say thank you for caring. So you never know.
You
So
never know.
what? How does she find out about Daniel? What results did she read that one person might be her father, and who's Jeanette? I wasn't sure about Jeanette.
Um, Again, it's really tough because I don't want to give too much away,
No, don't,
uh,
because I don't want to. Yeah.
but because that's what propels the reader to keep reading. Um, I, what I will say is that she, without saying why she's missing or if someone's behind it, it has to do with a secret, a family secret that has been kept from her for years. And we, the reader, don't find out what this
Mm.
secret is until we follow Josh as he's trying to track her down. And at a certain point, which is something that I do often, is
Mm.
this book is told from 3 points
Mm.
of view. 3 different people narrate this book. One of them is Josh. One of them is the missing daughter. And the third voice, I won't tell you who that third voice is because it gives away too much. But you find out from three different points of view what's going on in this book.
Let me tell you, she's really extremely resourceful,
She is.
and she
Smart
won't
kid.
back off no matter what. She reminds me of me. I was always told if you want to find an answer, don't stop until you get it, no matter what
Very
you
true.
have to do. And I had to agree with her on that. But some of the things she did, whoa. Now we meet Blanche, and Blanche, and why is Allie not going to stop until she finds him? But what role does Blanche play?
Well,
I
she
don't know
plays an
about her
important.
either.
Yeah, but everyone else plays the role of this of Josh looking
Mm.
for Allison and the reason why Allison has disappeared. And again, I don't want to say whether she disappeared of
No,
her own volition or whether someone was behind her disappearing. But it's not really the main mystery of the book. In other words, the reader finds out what's going on about a third of the way through the book. So it's not as if,
yeah,
not like the you know those kind of books where the girl is missing and we have to find her. It's really more about the reason that she has disappeared, why and who's involved in her disappearance, and that's what the thrust of the book is. As I said, not finding her because the reader finds out pretty quickly the answer to why she's missing. But then for me, the book takes off from there.
yeah. Well, she learned some hard lessons, but so does Josh.
Yes,
Did Josh finds her roommate Kevin because she was living with Kevin,
right. She's in
and
Ivy League
and
school. She's at Yale.
yeah, he doesn't exactly tell him too much of anything, and then he goes back and forces him to answer more questions. And what does he find out? And he finds out about somebody else that sort of tried to blindside Josh even more,
Hmm.
which I
Yeah,
thought was
remember,
clever. Yeah,
right? She's a really smart kid. She goes to an
yeah.
Ivy League school and she has this roommate, Kevin, who I don't know if you've had this situation happen to you, Fran, but in college I had two or three roommates, and in many ways the best roommate I ever had is someone that I had nothing in common with and didn't hang out with. And
Mm,
so um, Allie, and her roommate Kevin couldn't be more different. So they're not friends, and he doesn't have a lot of information as to what happened to her because he leads his own life. You know, he's got different friends from her. He has different interests from her, and so he's not really very much help in terms of finding out what happened to her. What is of help is searching her room. That
mm,
really gives some answers as opposed to the roommate Kevin, who gives permission
yeah,
into the room and examine it.
yeah.
But
But
one of
sometimes you could be looking and you don't know what you're looking
that's
for.
right, exactly. One of
And
the
then
things
there's
that,
Lisa who said, "Don't worry about it. She's fine."
mhm.
And
Yeah,
I said, "I
Lisa
hope
is
he
our
doesn't
friend.
believe." I don't think he quite bought whatever. No one's going to tell, even if they know where Allie is. They're not going to tell.
No, no.
No, there's like a secrecy there. Now, before Cher leaves her, what does she tell him that changes it all and worries him? And then we have a death.
Yeah, well, it's for me, it's a process of elimination looking for her.
Yeah.
You want to find out in a way what didn't happen to her before you find out what did happen to her. And one of the you sort of touched on this before, Fran, which is very true about the book. Is at a certain point when they go up to the college, um, it's the two men who go up there, the stepfather and Josh. But Josh realizes pretty quickly that his best friend is not going to be much help in this search, and in fact may hinder it. So he sends him back home, and Josh continues the search on his own. And it's because he's afraid that his best friend will get in the way, and also being very emotional about it because it's his daughter essentially, um, will hinder the investigation more than help it. So at a certain point early on in the book, Josh goes off on his own to find Allison, the college age girl.
Now, Allison, really, how does she deal the chapter on My Two Dads? How did you create that?
How did I create what?
The chapter Allie called My Two Dads.
Well, is that where we first see her, where she tells the
Yeah.
chapter? Um, yeah, well, at a certain, it has to do with the way I write, and I'm sure you've interviewed so many writers that is I don't know what's going to happen until it happens in the book. I don't know what's going to happen on the next page or the next sentence. I just sit down and tell a story as it comes out. So none of these things are planned, and a lot of my books are written by just a feel that I have. And at a certain point, I didn't plan to have her as one of the narrators, but at a certain point, I realized that the reader and I need to know what's going on from her point of view. And so at that point, I needed to have a chapter in her voice as to what's going on, and it comes fairly early in the book. So Josh narrates several chapters, and then we start to hear from Allison.
Now, this chapter I really loved. The chapter titled Josh Green's Psychic Detective Explained.
Well,
You know something? I felt at the end, well, when you read the end, everybody, you'll understand why. But basically, I don't know that when what she says at the last page, she sort of got him good.
yeah, he's being kind of I'm being kind of ironic when I
Yeah.
name the chapter psychic detective, because he's neither a detective nor does he consider himself a psychic. So that was sort of tongue in cheek, but that's exactly what he becomes. He becomes a detective, and and I've done this before. I was a journalist for years, a magazine journalist, and there's not that much difference between a journalist and a detective. They're both trying to uncover facts to get to the truth. And so I realized that in creating Josh, I had a character who had a lot of the technique and the abilities of a detective, even though he was a journalist.
Now, looking at page 231,
I've
it
got my
says
book right
father daughter
here.
reunion. How does Daniel react when he finally meets her?
Well, again,
231.
right, but that's giving away too much because the reader doesn't know who Daniel is,
Yeah.
and I don't want
You're
to
not
say,
sure that you don't really know.
right. So I don't really want to say other than at a certain point, a character comes on the scene and becomes a narrator. But I don't want to say whether this is her kidnapper or this is, if she were kidnapped or who this is, because I think it'll ruin the book for the reader, who is finding out these things as they happen.
Now we've got this really got me. What happens in Florida stays in Florida. So what happens when she meets Daniel? How does he react to her?
Um, Again, without saying who Daniel is, he is at
Yeah.
first surprised, shocked, and not very happy that he's come in contact with this young woman. Uh, that changes, but I don't want to talk about how it changes. But it's crucial to this book about the relationship of whoever Daniel is, and I don't want to say who it is, and Allison, and essentially and eventually Josh. These three people interact and become the focus of the book. And they're the ones that ultimately will solve any mystery that's involved in this book. Um, so I feel like I'm saying that all the time. I don't want to give away too much, and that's very different for me as a writer. Most of my
Yeah,
books, and you've reviewed me for all of them,
I read
Fran.
every one of them.
That's right, and you're terrific, and it's great that you keep having me back, and you know these books sometimes better than I do, but you know that this is not. I write crime novels, but I don't write mystery novels very much. So this is a really a first in the sense of there are several mysteries involved that have to be solved, and they're not murders. They're not murder mysteries. They're other kinds of mysteries. So I don't want to frustrate your listeners by saying I don't want to talk about that because it'll give away too much. But I think it would ruin the book for anyone who's reading it to find out some of these things. Other than there is another character that's introduced into the book, and his name is Daniel. But I don't want to say who he is and why he's there and what his
Mm.
relationship is.
I've got it right here, and I rewrote your review 7 times, and I did post it. And
Fran, I have a question for you that I've always wondered
yeah,
because you're
I've
amazing.
been answering questions all week.
Okay, how many books do you read a week? And you read them really carefully too. Uh,
It depends. Now, I am firing the post office because they haven't brought anything in a while. I was lucky that your book came, and then I got a book that I didn't want to read over the weekend. It was called Messy Morning. It's a true story about a mother who saw her son commit suicide and how she dealt
wow,
with it. I couldn't read that over the weekend. I will read it because it does happen, and she's trying to teach people how to deal with that. But the post office, usually, if I get books, I can read 5 or 6 a week,
wow.
and that's
And
small.
are you a fast reader or you just
Both. I read them
both?
fast, but I'll show you. Yours I didn't write in that much, but I usually write in every book. Or over here, I folded pages. I write in the book, and then I circle what I want to ask if there's an interview, and I'm
Uh,
very careful.
yeah, because
And
people
then
don't
I
know
go
this, but
back over it to make sure that I have it straight. Usually, after the first 2 readings, I have the book memorized.
wow. But people
Yes.
don't know this, but Fran sends after she finishes reading the book, she sends a list of questions, and it's not a short
Yeah.
list. It shows how carefully she's read these
Yeah.
books. You have all these questions, and so I was curious about how quickly you read and how many books.
It depends. It depends on the book. Like your book, it took me 2 hours, but then I read it over 3 times because I
Mhm.
want to make sure that if I interview the author, I get it right. If it's just for a review, I could read it once.
Uh-huh.
But you know what I do? I'll show you. I'm guilty. I put the review, well, this is Vincent's end, it doesn't matter. I put the review on my notepad. As I'm reading the book, I write the review on my notepad.
Oh, interesting.
Then when I'm done, I post it on my Word document to make sure I didn't screw up with any grammar errors. Although sometimes my Word document misses some, and I don't care. And then I post it on my just reviews on my website on my computer, and it takes me a while. I don't rush to do it, but it depends on the book. Once in a while, I do get something that I won't read.
Mhm.
If I feel
And I
that
was going
it's,
to I was going
I
to
won't
ask you
read
if you.
pornographic or erotica ever.
Mhm. I was going to ask you too. If you don't like a book, do you still
Yeah,
review it, or do you just ignore it?
it depends. I don't have to like everything I read. I might just not like that type of book. So I'll
Mhm.
just I'll just tell the author, look, I'm not crazy about it, but I will give you a review, but I'm not going to write whether I like it or not. I'll just do a summary. And then it's up
Mhm.
to the author to decide if they want the review. They always want a review,
Mhm.
always. I mean, I don't post on Amazon because a couple, 2, 3, 4 years ago, somebody broke into my Amazon website and wrote a review, and it wasn't me. And
Oh,
Amazon
interesting.
stupidly took my reviews off. And I said, after all I've done for you, you actually think I would write something, whatever? So I don't boast their sales. I don't care. I post everything everywhere else. And then they want to know why I don't post on Amazon. And what do you think? You told me I can't because you actually believe the stupidity of somebody else. That's okay because I posted on LinkedIn. No problem. So we have the chapter, which I thought was great, the chapter The Prodigal Father, and Allie thinks she has two dads, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
In a
She does.
sense, right?
Yes.
But we
Um,
can't tell who they are.
no, and the other thing that I wanted to, in writing this book, I wanted to touch upon not only the paranormal. By the way, the first time I saw, as you know, Fran, Amazon, they tell you what kind of book it is. In other words, is it a crime novel?
Yeah,
Is it a normal novel? And I looked at the description, and for the first time, I saw that one of the categories that the book is under is paranormal. And I was
yeah,
shocked because I don't write paranormal. You know that. I mean, this is the first time I've ever used this kind of thing, and it was kind of a shock to see that it was listed as paranormal because I just never thought of it that way. But it is. I mean, there is the important element. But the other element I wanted to deal with was ancestry. I have a friend, and I don't know if you've had this experience of someone you know. I have a friend who one day received an email from someone who said, I'm your nephew. And
my
this
new
woman,
book, believe it or not, is listed as it's called When Lies Win,
wow,
and it's seven stories. And each character, if they do something wrong, Mirabella is a mirror. She will take you down. And what I love about this book is that my publisher put a picture of Mirabella at the end of each chapter, and you don't want her to take you down because she's evil. But they
oh,
considered it a psychological horror, metaphysical and visionary, and psychological fiction. And I
and
never
what do
had a
you
book.
think? And what
Yeah,
do you
what
think? Would you have called it that?
I think it's psychological horror, but I think
Mm,
it's a lot more than that because basically the mirror has visions. The
mm,
mirror knows exactly what these people are doing. And when Mirabella approaches them and says, if you repent, that's okay. If you don't, you will be a face in a mirror forever and you won't like it. So there's a horrible person, there's a devil. At the end, there's a true story about what happened to me a long time ago.
mm.
And that really did happen.
Fran,
And
have you ever had a psychic episode?
yeah, a psych
Yes.
what?
A
Yeah,
psychic episode. Have you ever dreamed something that came
yeah,
that
yeah,
actually? Yes.
yeah, I did.
It's
Yeah.
kind of freaky, isn't it? It's kind of freaky. It's happened to me
You know
once.
what's even freakier is that before I got to the hospital and he pulled the plug on my sister, I had a feeling she was going to die.
Uh-huh.
And it's really horrible
How
because
close in
I,
age were you? How many years
what,
apart? How many years apart?
we were, that's the other thing I'm not sure, but my sister died and my mother died. I found out that I wasn't as old as I thought I was.
Huh.
I thought she was younger, and it's a whole bunch of stuff that my mother hid. But my
Mhm.
sister died on July 8th when he killed her. And I was in the hospital. I called the police. I called the head of the
Wow.
hospital. I called everybody. And I had her power of attorney and a health proxy. I had it in my hand. And they said, well, he's her husband. I said, but he's killing my sister. I said, I will pay to have her moved. I didn't have Medicare or
Mm-hmm.
anything. And I will pay for her health insurance. I will pay. And there was a what you call a social worker there that called every nursing home in the Bronx that was close by and said they would all help me and take her. My mother had home health aides. I offered to pay them each $50 a night to stay with my sister, and he wouldn't. He just killed her. He wanted her gone.
Mm-hmm.
When we had the unveiling of her stone the year after, He brought his girlfriend.
Wow.
Yeah. And my
How old
cousin,
was she? How old was she when she passed
she was in
away?
her 50s. She was at
Wow,
57.
early.
She was young, yeah. And
And
she
were you very
was,
close? Were you very
what?
close to her? Were
Yeah.
you very close to
Every
her?
morning, when my mother became sick with Alzheimer's, my sister, such a witch, she would call me every morning at 7. Did you give mom her medicine? Have you taken care of our mother? I said, Mom said to tell you you're the good one. She did. I said, get your butt here on Thursday real fast. The only day my sister came was Thursdays. The first Thursday my sister didn't come, my mother said she's gone. She knew. I
Oh
said, no,
wow.
she's working and she really hates you. My mother died in Einstein Hospital, and they really took good care. She had an episode, heart attack, and she lost, and her mind was gone, they thought. And they called me, and it was, I went to the hospital. Right before she died, she looked up at me and she said, I've had enough.
Wow.
I said,
My mother
Ma,
did the same thing. My mother
yeah.
did the same thing. She was ready to go.
I said, Ma, who's going to torture me every morning? And I looked at her and she said, I'm going with Marcia.
Uh-huh.
And I cried, but I understood where she was coming from. But the hospital, Einstein, they were amazing. They said, do you want us to revive your mother? You have a DNA, but we could revive her. I said, you heard what she just said.
Mhm.
Just let her go. It was the hard. I didn't want to do that. They did try.
Mhm.
They did try. Because I said, well, give it a shot, see what happens. I never saw a hospital go out of their way to save a person's life.
Wow.
They did,
Uh,
because there was one night they called me and said, your mother's having a cardiac whatever, fix it. So when I got there, the nurse that was charged to her said, she's going to die. I said, get the hell out of this room. I want somebody else. I don't trust you.
mhm.
They kept her alive for another month because I said so.
Mhm.
I was
And
there
how old was she when she passed away? Your
80
mother?
something, 85. She wasn't old,
No.
but she developed Alzheimer's, but yet she really wasn't senile.
Mhm.
So I would come in the morning and she said, she's here. I go, you got that, Ma? And the only person she wanted was my sister and my brother. And my
Wow.
brother only came once to the hospital. He couldn't face it, couldn't face my mother.
Mhm.
And he couldn't face, I had to go away for a weekend, something else, and he couldn't deal with the medicine. I had to come home early. I went to see
Wow.
my brother and my nephews. Since my
Mhm.
mother died and my sister died, my brother doesn't talk to me ever. And it wasn't my fault.
No. No.
It was 16 years since she died. I posted something on Facebook and he actually read it. They all read it. I want them
Wow.
to never forget that he killed her.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I don't care. I even said his name. I didn't care because he should have paid for what she did, and he did.
Mhm.
I said, you know what? Someday you're going to have a heart attack, and no one's going to save your life like I did 3 times. What can I
Amazing.
say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're
So
running out of time, friend, but I wanted to say something before
yeah,
we leave,
you're
and
on
that is
Amazon, that's for sure.
yes. But I wanted to thank you because
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who've gone on your show that you know, like Dick Belsky.
Yeah.
You're such a fan of writers, and you're so supportive of writers. Whether you like the books or not, you really you're enthusiastic about books and about reading. So I wanted to
I
thank
love
you, and
reading.
yeah, I just wanted to thank you before we leave
You're welcome.
for that. Um,
I
'Cause
love reading. What happened was I grew up in the South Bronx in a bad neighborhood in a building that was dangerous, and yet I wasn't afraid.
mhm.
And there were tough kids on the block, but I weighed 200 pounds at the time, so nobody messed with me. And this one guy came up to me and said something. I said, you want to feel my punch? Because I punched him in the head. I said, you want to
Wow.
feel my punch? I weigh 200 pounds. You want to mess with this girl? You got the wrong person.
Well,
But I grew up,
I don't know
it,
if your viewers know, but this is amazing that you were 200 pounds because you're
yeah,
like this. You're like a stick
yeah.
now. I mean, ever since I've known,
I was like that. And I
uh,
walked into my building, and my mother would not let me go outside to play.
mhm,
She let my sister. She said, you have to stay home and read. And she never thought I was smart. I was really smart. I read
Mhm.
10 books a week.
Wow. So
And
that's
then
where
she
it comes
made me,
from.
yeah, but she made me take notes with them. I have the
Hmm.
notes in the closet. So
Uh-huh.
when I took my reading masters, my second masters, I took it in reading and learning disability. It was by accident. I was
Hmm.
supposed to resource room. There was no whatever. I went in, met the professor. She said, "We're going to take you in our program, and we're going to give you a grant
Hmm.
because you're that smart." I aced it. I graduated number one in my class for my reading masters. And every couple of months, my first professor was Dr. George Cavuto, who is the premier guy. He's the smartest person and the number one reading person in the world. And he does streams with me. He's going to do one on September 30th. We talk about reading and learning disabilities. So I must know what I'm doing because he tortured me. He did. He
Um,
said, "You're the only one that's getting a 10, and I'm going to pick." He picked my articles. There were 30, 40 pages, and I had to summarize them on index cards.
mhm.
So, yeah, I love reading. When I get upset, I pick up a book and read.
Good for
And
you.
if the post office doesn't bring me something, I'm going to fire them
Mhm.
big time.
So I
But
just want to thank you for all the attention you
I
give
just
to
hope that they bring me something today.
I
But
hope so too.
she meets Daniel, and then she meets Tony and her mom. How did she get around trying to make them understand that she wants to be with her father? And I can understand that to a point. What kind of a person? I mean, I read about Daniel, and she accepted how he is. Wasn't exactly the most exemplary person in the world.
No, no.
That's why I liked him.
Hmm.
Because if
Me
you
too.
made him
Well,
good,
I like to read about imperfect
yeah.
people because we're all imperfect in some way, except you and me, of course.
Well, before I forget, this is really the biggest. I don't. You're the only one I'm doing in July. Nobody else. I start back on August 10th with Tess Gerritsen, Shadow Friends. Then
Hmm.
I have Joe Clifford with his book
I
Skeletal
love
Secret.
I love
And he has
Joe.
another one on the 26th. On the 27th, I have The Girl of Harlem Dreams. And this is a big one if they ever send me the book. The co producer of The Stephen Colbert Show, Cami
Oh.
Collins, wants me to do a show with her on the Rogue. And I
Hmm.
have Philip Margolin. I just finished Controversy Theory. So he's going to set one up in November. And the number one interior decorator in the world, Howard Wiggins, is coming on August 24th.
Great. Sounds like
So
a great lineup you have coming up.
yeah, I know. I can't believe it sometimes that I keep doing this. And there are days I just don't want to do anything. And when I get upset, I read a book and then I write something. And I started a sequel to When Lies Win. There's a sequel coming. It's more scary than the first one. And I haven't decided if Mirabella is going to stay as a mirror or something else to get you. So, Tony and Rachel and everything, how did you intercept all of them together? And then the ending really made me cry. I felt bad for Josh, but not really.
Yeah. No, it was quite a chore getting.
Yeah,
I have if you ask me the hardest part of books for me, writing books, it's the endings. I'm fine. The beginning and the middle, I'm fine. It's ending. So I'm really happy that the ending worked for you. That pleases me. I
well,
appreciate
you
it.
went over the limit. It's almost 45 minutes already, but that's
Yeah.
okay. I do
All
that.
right. Well,
So
thank
why
you
did
so much.
she decide the decision at the end? And how did you create the final chapters between Josh, Daniel, and Allie? Because the last two pages say it all. And is there a sequel coming?
No, um, not that
Not
I
that,
know
I
of.
was
I
hoping there
would
would
say,
be.
well, I never know. For instance, when I wrote the first Swan novel,
Yeah,
I didn't think of that as a series, and I wound up writing five
yeah,
of them. So I don't know. If it comes to me, if a story comes to
that's
me
good.
that seems right for this character, I'll use it.
So what's next for you? And when am I
I
getting it?
Well, I got to write it first. I'm about 10,000 words into a new book, but it's a detective novel, and it just we'll see what happens with it.
I'm going to post a review. I did
Good.
post it on
Good.
Just Reviews. If you have a problem with it, let me know. I made
Okay.
it a little bit longer than most,
Mhm.
but I don't know why I just did. I usually don't make them that long, but the book was so good. I didn't give
Oh, thank
away
you.
anything. I didn't give
Good.
away anything, but people are reading it.
Hmm.
I don't know why
Yeah.
they read
Well,
my.
thank you. I
They
really
read everything I do. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to end the stream.
okay.